Good morning and welcome to Washington Live. I am your host, Tim Elliott. We are powered by KCTC, and I am joined by the ever-present, except for last week,
Nick
Steffens, super producer Nick Steffens. Nick, tippy top of the morning.
It's a good morning. I didn't want to get out of bed, but we're here. It's going to be a good day.
It is going to be a good day. I can't tell you how excited I am for our host today, Mike Doughty. But before we get there, you were ill last week. That's all over? You're feeling okay?
Yeah, it was just... I don't know how I didn't have COVID. Our reporter had COVID. Our sales lady in Mount Pleasant had COVID. I took 2 tests. They both came back.
No COVID.
But I was tired, exhausted, scratchy throat, had trouble breathing, but didn't have COVID.
This lasts for a few days?
It was, Thursday afternoon to... Really, honestly, yesterday was the first day I felt, 100% good to go. Yeah. So I don't know what it was.
Well, welcome back. We're glad to have you. And I'm sure everybody that watches this show is glad to be back on as well. So as I said earlier, Nick, I am pumped about Mike Doughty, who we'll be talking with in a little bit. But first, we need to see the weather, and it is quite fantastic outside. Mm-hmm. 61 degrees currently and mostly sunny with a high, I think, around 72 today.
Yep. When I had a nice beer outside yesterday, it was beautiful weather. It's nice to actually be able to enjoy outside for the first time in months.
My wife and I sat on our deck last night.
Yep.
And we did have a cocktail as well, and some people walked by and invited them up. So just impromptu things going on when the weather gets good.
Yep.
Okay, done weather. Let's take a little break.
Oh, we got local events.
Let's do local events, yeah. We still have the Junkin Sisters Spring Hop Shop. We talked about that a couple weeks ago. That is going on today and tomorrow throughout downtown. I think there's just a multitude of shops that are.
Yeah, it's not just Washington, too. It's Columbus Junction. I think it's Kelowna, Mount Pleasant. It's kind of all of Southeast Iowa. It's a big thing.
I am glad you read more about that than I did, Nick. And also probably the biggest thing we've got going on this weekend is the Kewash Half Marathon that starts tomorrow. There's a 10K, a 5K. This has turned into a really big event.
Yeah, not just, it's all across Iowa. People come and...
It was interesting. I read yesterday that the originators of this just were hoping to get some locals involved and hopefully bring some people from out of town, and it has done that and more. Mm-hmm. So,
are you signed up?
I am not signed up. I don't like to run from here to the front door. But I do have a good perch to watch people come home on.
Good.
And so I do enjoy watching that. And so I will be around, and we actually have a good friend that's participating for the first time this year. So we'll be there to cheer her on at the end.
And then unfortunately no police support today because our printer is broken here in the Southeast Iowa Union office. So to our viewers, I apologize. I didn't want to handwrite the police support. I handwrote the script and everything else. So
I thought maybe we just didn't have anything go wrong.
I think a lot of things probably went wrong. I know it's the one day we don't do it. I bet we probably missed some good things. I didn't even take a look at what was in the police report, but who knows? You can go and read it on the Facebook page.
It'll be there. It'll be there. Oh, it's National Day.
Yeah.
This one is a good one. There's probably many that you could choose from, but the one we chose to talk about is National Kiss Your Mate Day.
So I looked that up. And I was confused. I didn't know if it was mate, like in the Australian sense, but no, you're supposed to give your life partner a smooch.
Whatever that person is.
You're supposed to give them a kiss.
Give them a kiss today.
Yeah, not your best bud. You're not supposed to kiss them. Not your best mate. Your wife.
So keep that in mind. Don't forget that.
Yeah.
Kiss your mate today. It's that day to do it. Okay, we got that stuff going. I'm ready to talk to Mike, so let's take a break.
All right. Federation Bank is a locally owned bank providing award-winning customer service. We believe that we are more than just a federation of banks, but a federation of communities, serving Brighton, Richland, Wellman, and Washington, Iowa. Federation Bank's highly skilled staff is here to make sure you are able to accomplish your personal and professional goals, whatever they may be. Federation Bank, your family bank.
Hospice isn't a place, it's a type of care that focuses on living. Servicing a 7-county area, the Hospice of Washington County staff of nurses, social work, hospice aides, spiritual and grief support, volunteers, music and massage therapists are able to provide free end-of-life care where the patient lives. We write wills, give consent for organ donation, but rarely is there a plan for what we would want the final phase of our lives. At Hospice of Washington County, we encourage our patients to be in charge of their healthcare decisions while maintaining quality of life.
Family owned and operated by Andy and Sarah Ross, Ross Auto has been your vehicle repair and maintenance headquarters since 1935. We specialize in all makes of cars and light-duty trucks. With our variety of available services, let us help you keep rolling and your vehicle operating efficiently. Services include general auto repair, alignments, brakes, fuel injection, and more. Schedule your appointment today at 319-653-5656. That's 319-653-5656.
Hey, Andrea. I was out on a walk the other day and I saw a sign on a business that said man wanted for robbery. So I went in and applied for a job. Okay, you're done.
Hello and welcome back to Washington Live, powered by KCTC. Well, I'm joined today by a good friend of mine who I'm not going to say sparked my interest in the wrestling world. My son did that for me, but Mike Doughty took it to another level for me. So I'm tickled to have him here today. Mike, good morning.
Good morning, Tim. Good morning.
I think where I want to start with you is just I know you're a Washington boy, you're a hometown boy. Tell me your story, just quickly.
Briefly, born in Fort Dodge, Iowa. Traveled around quite a bit. My dad was in the National Guard, and so he was in and out of active service. Have 3 brothers. We all graduated from Washington. We all wrestled. We all played football. We all ran track. But then I went to Iowa State, wrestled at Iowa State my freshman year, and then Coach Gable left and went to Iowa, so I transferred. Went to Iowa to be with him, and then when I got done with school, got into the business world. I've always been in sales management, leadership. And then in 2013, Coach Gable came to me and asked if I could help with wrestling. Had gotten voted out of the Olympics, and to put together a group of people to go after that, to try to get wrestling back in the Olympics. And Coach Gable came and asked if I would be part of his team to help with that, and to also help with the National Wrestling Hall of Fame to Stillwater, Oklahoma, and his museum in Waterloo, the Dan Gable Museum, which is part of the National Wrestling Hall of Fame.
So all of that got started from the threat of losing the sport of Greco or freestyle, or
all
both?
Of wrestling.
All of wrestling in
wrestling
Olympic
as
level.
a sport was the executive IOC, the Executive Olympic Committee, voted wrestling out in February of 2013.
Okay. And so all of the work that with the National Wrestling Hall of Fame, that all started about the same time, about that 2013.
In early 2013.
So you've been very involved. And for those that don't know, when Mike talks about Coach Gable, and I've never heard him call him anything but Coach Gable, we're talking about Dan Gable.
Dan Gable, right.
And you could probably go on and on about that, man, but just tell a brief story about Coach Gable.
Well, Dan Gable grew up in Waterloo, Iowa. He was undefeated in high school, 3-time state champion. Went 64-0 in high school. Then he went to Iowa State, was a 2-time national champion at Iowa State, 3-time finalist, won 117 straight matches before he lost his final match his senior year in college. And so his combined record for high school and college was 181-1 with that one loss, his final collegiate match. And then a year later, he won the Tbilisi tournament, which is arguably the roughest, toughest tournament in the world, wrestling tournament. It's in Tbilisi, Georgia. He won that, and then he won a world championship in 71. And at that 71 tournament, the Russians vowed to find somebody to beat him. And they spent 15 months combing the USSR trying to find somebody that could beat Dan Gable. And then so Coach Gable went to the Olympics in 1972 and won a gold medal, won 6 straight matches, and is the only wrestler in the history of the Olympics to go the entire Olympics without having a point scored against him. Went on to become an assistant coach and then head coach at Iowa. In 21 seasons, he won 21 straight Big Ten championships, won 15 national championships. And for basketball people, he was in the finals 18 of his 21 years. He was in the Final Four 20 of his 21 years. He finished in the top 4.
Yeah.
And then has gone on from there.
Yeah. Just a legend. There are several,
Yeah.
but to have him come from Iowa and you get to be a part of his life on a regular basis. But just wanted to give a little background for those that are listening that may or may not know everything about Coach Gable.
I am guilty of being wrestling centric. I do understand that.
That's okay. This is we're a wrestling state, so this is why I'm so excited to have you on. Talk a little more about the process of starting the Dan Gable Museum and the National Wrestling Hall of Fame in Stillwater.
Well, the National Wrestling Hall of Fame in Stillwater was founded in about 1976. And the mission of the National Wrestling Hall of Fame is to preserve, recognize, and inspire. Preserve the history of the sport, recognize great accomplishments on and off the mat that wrestlers achieve, and then most important, the third leg of that stool, but the most important leg is to take that the preserving of the history, the recognition of the greatness, use that to inspire future generations to greatness on and off the mat. We understand that not everybody's going to be a national champion, a state champion, a conference champion. But that doesn't mean that by participating in the sport of wrestling, they can't learn those valuable skill sets that will put them on the podium, the top tier of the podium of life. They can build championship life skills. And so that's really the premise behind that. And so then in 2010 or 11, the Dan Gable Museum was a separate entity, and the National Wrestling Hall of Fame out of Stillwater just said, this doesn't make sense to have competing entities, if you will. So they merged, and it's been a great marriage.
Mm-hmm. And I know you're very active in both
Yes.
the National Hall of Fame and Dan Gable's museum. You have some events and some fundraisers and things that you help take care of.
Yeah, well, that's actually my primary role. My listed role, if you will, is development. So I raise money. And for example, when we had a renovation at the Gable Museum a couple of years ago, I raised $1.5 million, for the renovation. And then a couple of years later, need a new roof, so I raised a couple $100,000 for the new roof. And then but we have activities, ongoing activities. We've got a golf outing coming up on June 23rd. We've got the Glenn Brandt Hall of Fame, where we are inducting people into the Hall of Fame. And then actually in Stillwater, June 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, we have the Honors Weekend, where we are inducting people into their Hall of Fame. And Joe Williams from the University of Iowa will be going in as a distinguished member, and Patricia Miranda will be going in as a distinguished member. And Patricia was a bronze medalist in the 2004 Olympics in Athens. And what's significant about that beyond the bronze medal was because she wrestled the lightest weight, she was the first ever woman to medal in the Olympics in the world. And because she was from the USA, she was the first USA woman to medal. So pretty cool.
Yeah, very cool. You're also still heavily involved in the Hawkeye Wrestling Club, which is tied to it's a program of the university through the university.
Yeah, the Hawkeye Wrestling Club is. I mean, it was founded in 1973 by Dan Gable, Gary Kurtelmeyer, and a guy named Roy Carver, and it really is designed to give wrestlers an opportunity post-college to continue to train for international wrestling. And so, yeah, I help fundraise with them, and I do the Arctic Plunge. I've done the Arctic Plunge every year. Mark Ironside and I are the only two that have raised over $100,000 for the Hawkeye Wrestling Club in doing it. And
Have you outraised him yet? Because he's a burger.
Well, I mean, no, Mark. You know what? I mean, it's funny, but when I started raising money for the National Wrestling Hall of Fame, that really changed how I was able to raise money for the Hawkeye Wrestling Club, because I had a lot of people that I knew around the country and in LA and New York that might give me, a $5,000 for the plunge. Well, I mean, they give me, like one guy, the owner of the Philadelphia 76ers, gave me a check for $25,000 for the museum in December. I'm not going to go ask him for that $5,000 that he used to give me for the plunge. So I told Tom and Terry that as long as I'm raising money for the National Wrestling Hall of Fame, that I'll constantly be in that, that second, third, fourth place. But
that's just so cool.
Yeah.
I think let's take a break.
All right. Sounds good.
Since 1905, Kelowna Cooperative Technology Company has helped our community stay connected with the latest advancements in clear, dependable telecommunications services. KCTC provides rural Iowans with access to high-speed fiber internet, as well as phone, television, computer repair, and cybersecurity solutions. We're also proud supporters of local organizations and area schools within the community. KCTC, keeping Kelowna connected.
At the Capper Auto Group, we put our customers' needs first and understand that everyone is as different as the vehicle they select. We offer new Ford, Chevrolet, Buick, GMC, Jeep, Chrysler, Dodge, and Ram vehicles in a friendly environment that puts you in the driver's seat. When it comes to service, we maintain factory-trained technicians and competitive pricing. The Capper Auto Group still believes that service after the sale provides the best customer experience. Come see the Capper experience for yourself.
Tammy takes the time and has the personal interest in each one of us. I don't worry about what's going to happen because I know my policy is taken care of.
She pulls what I need and puts it together, which is the program I get from her.
Every year she calls around September or so and says, there's changes again, and I'm going to do the best thing for you. It's been perfect. She does a great job.
Hello and welcome back to Washington Live, powered by KCTC. I'm your host, Tim Elliott, and if you missed the first section, I'm here with Mike Doughty, and we're just having a ball when we go to commercials. This is good stuff. Mike, the next thing you and I talked yesterday, and I caught you on your way back from Des Moines. Tell me a little bit about, because there's some wrestling going on, but there's other things going on in Des Moines this weekend. Tell me about your yesterday.
Yeah, well, I mean, for wrestling, we got the U.S. Open right now, which is going on in Las Vegas. It goes on every April, and that generates a ladder, if you will, of people that it positions them for the tournament to represent the U.S. in the World Championships this year. So that's going on right now. We've got some Iowa guys in there. Got some Iowa State guys in there.
The Worlds will be this year yet?
The Worlds will be in September.
And they are, do you know where?
I was thinking Sofia, Bulgaria, but I have to look it up. I can't remember. They were Oslo, Norway last year. But yes, there's also the Drake relays are going on.
Yes,
and I mean I've been going to Drake relays since I was in 8th grade, and whenever I can, it's a great athletic event. It's America's track meet, and Washington has representatives again this year. And I have 2 sons that ran track, and they both ran in Drake for 4 years. One was a Drake Relays champion. One, I think, got second or third. But Coach Roth has a great tradition. And somehow, back in the mid-'90s, my wife, Jill Doughty, Washington native, Jill Morgan, we just decided to take the track team out to dinner on Thursday night. Just that one time. We just thought, we'll take them. And I told Coach Roth, bring them all down to Spaghetti Works down in Court Avenue. We'll load them up with carbohydrates. We'll have a great time. And it was really cool because Baylor was there. All these great track teams. They saw Michael Johnson. They saw these world-class runners were sitting at tables right next to them. And so next year came around. I said, Coach Roth, let's do it again. And so, like 25, 26 years later, I take them to out to dinner every Thursday night. And last year, when they shut down Drake because of COVID, Drake Relays, I got on the phone. I called my boys and said, get a hold of your teammates, get a hold of alums, and we'll have an alumni dinner because we're not going to break tradition. And so a bunch of old track guys showed up, and they came from Davenport, they came from Waterloo, they came from Washington, Des Moines area, and we had a great time. But now we're back on track.
How cool!
Yeah,
very, very good. And that's the one thing that you do these things. You have done these things through the years, and not for the notoriety. You do them because it's the right thing to do. But what I like the most, Mike, is you're involved not in just wrestling and track, but you're involved in a lot of stuff for the youth. A lot of your passion is driven by making sure the youth are doing the right things and staying involved.
Well, that's when they are. I know it is kind of cliche, but they are our future, and it's really important to make sure that we build a foundation for them, and that we give them the opportunities to win, the opportunities to fail, to learn from failure, to understand that that's okay. Yeah. That you pick yourself back up and you get off the mat, you get off the field, and for a long time I thought it had to be wrestling or football, and then my oldest son has been in music his whole life, and he's in fact he was director of performing arts at a private school in New York City, and as I watched him grow up, and I watched the efforts he put into his music, I realized that had I put that much energy and that much focus and that much determination in my wrestling, I probably would have been a state champion. Mm-hmm. He just that's when I realized that it's not as much about that it's wrestling or it's football, but it's something that is organized, is something that that you learn all those life skills with, and so it can be wrestling, it can be football, it can be basketball, it can be choir, it can be band, it can be theater. So that's why those are all important. That's why people like Kenny Hansen did what he did to make sure we had that new theater at the high school when the high school was built without one. Because he realized the importance of that for those kids that participate in that. Yeah. So. Yeah. One thing I don't want to forget, so I'm going to go back just a little bit to Carver Hawkeye Arena. Uh-huh. You sent me a text the other day about some exciting stuff going on there. Can you share what you know about the project going on there with the new wrestling facility? Okay, well, we're building a new wrestling facility on the south side of Carver Hawkeye, and it is similar. In its, I don't want to say it's architecture because it's going to look a little bit different, but it's going to be blended. But it's a build down versus build up. So you walk in at ground level and then everything is below it. And at the current Carver Hawkeye, if you've ever been there, the athletes come out of a tunnel at the bottom of Carver Hawkeye in the northwest corner. The wrestling room is on the south side, so they just drove a tunnel from the through the south side of Carver Hawkeye. So now, when it opens up, the wrestlers will come out of the second tunnel on the south side of Carver Hawkeye, and that'll really be cool.
Yeah, I'm already looking forward to next season, and I'll tell a quick story about maybe one of the first times you and I met was we had bid on some tickets that you provided for a fundraiser, and my son and I joined you and at Coach Gable's house, and Coach Gable was there and his wife was there making dinner, and he just says, "Come on in," just like it was an open door. And well, here's the basement where everything is that you probably want to see. And we walk down the stairs, and there's lined all his Big Ten champions throughout his career. And we got down to the main floor, and we're looking around, and the very first thing Coach Gable says is, "Right over there is where I got beat."
Yeah,
and he owns that.
Yeah,
and but what a great guy. He doesn't dwell on it, but he knows where that is at all times, and he probably doesn't go down there as often as you might think.
Well, he goes down to the wrestling room quite a bit.
Yeah.
And remember, when you get to the bottom stairs, you go straight ahead. There's a wrestling room.
Right.
And then you go to the right. That's where the archive things are at. But,
you're right. I forgot about that.
But Dan, that loss in 1970 powers him. It motivates him every day. Every day.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting because it's one of those catch-22s because he tries to figure out how he could have won that match, but then he also realizes that because he didn't win that match, that's what propelled him to the next level. And if you stop and think of it, even in the wrestling world, a lot of people don't know that Larry Owings is the guy that beat him. And Larry Owings was a sophomore that year, cut 2 weights to wrestle Dan Gable. The next 2 years, he got beat by Dwayne Keller and Pat Milkovich in the finals. So he's a 3-time finalist, just like Coach Gable. But he was 1-2, and Dan was 2-1. But Larry, in his book, says that his life fell off after that, and Dan's asymptotically went to the top. And so there, it's that Dan knew what to do with the loss. Larry didn't know how to handle the win. Yeah. And so it's just, it's psychological. It's a great thing to look at. But Dan, to this day, he'll be 75 in October 25th, and to this day, he has that conflict in his mind. I should have won, but if I won, would I have been able to do this?
Wow. Yeah. I tell you, every time you and I talk, Mike, I learn something. I pick up something from you every time we talk. So I enjoy our conversations. We could do this for hours, as you say, Nick, but we're going to have to keep moving. We got to play Celebrity Birthday.
Yes. So to explain the celebrity birthday game we play at the end, I'm going to put a celebrity whose birthday is today on the screen.
Well, if Dan Gables comes up down the road, I've given the answer.
I'm going to put a celebrity's birthday on the screen. You have to guess their age. Within 3 years, you get a point. If you get it right on, you get 2 points. And then there's a new twist that we've added. I don't know if you've seen on the episodes. First up, we have... this is going to be... Which one's which? Okay, first up, we have Penelope Cruz.
Okay.
48.
That was quick.
He acts like he knows.
Maybe he does.
I don't.
It's Tom Cruise. And he is 62. I'm going to say, you said 48. I'm going to say 52.
She is 49. So you guys both get points to start.
When was her birthday? No.
Next up, we have Jessica Alba. Let's see if I can find her photo. Here we go. Jessica Alba.
45.
Usually people sit there and dwell on it.
Well, this is the wrestling. They make their mind up and they go. So, I'm going to say 36.
She is 42. So Mike pulls out 2-1 lead. Next up, we have
I gotta get something
Jay Leno.
Ooh.
74.
Recovering from his injuries. You say 74?
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's see. How can I? I got to get this right on. I'm going to say 72.
He is 73.
Oh.
So 3-2.
Listen, for me to score 2 points is a big deal.
I'm just more impressed he's doing it so quickly. So the change that we've made is I've added a bonus round for worth double points. So I go to a website to find the famous birthdays, and people can upvote and downvote the celebrities. So I scroll all the way down and find the least famous person.
Perfect.
And so for today, it is what's his name? Jethro James, which apparently he is a famous lifeguard in Australia. Don't know what he did to become a famous lifeguard.
34.
But he's famous. 34.
31.
He's actually 27. So he's still really young, but
Boom.
So it looks like Mike wins with a score of 3-2.
But there's no trophy.
There's they're in
We
the,
have them?
They're in a box in the corner over there.
I
They're
have to-
plastic trophies, which might be the worst thing you've ever won.
But Mike, it's a trophy. So I lost, 2 weeks ago to Lori.
Yeah.
She displayed that on the sidewalk. So that
Good.
when I walk by, I'd have to see
That's what
that.
I wanted her to do. So that you're reminded every time.
Well, I think that'll do it for today. Mike, so much again for coming in. Thank you very much.
No, I enjoyed it.
We may have you back, not right away, and but it's just always good to talk with you. So that being said, thanks for much for joining us today on Washington Live. We'll look forward to the next show on Monday.